Hey guys, welcome to another Mindstorms EV3 tutorial. It's Dr. Dave here again. Today we're going to look at using arrays and loops to extend our reaction time code to handle multiple trials. Okay, hope you enjoy. So for this particular piece of code, we're going to run 5 separate experiments, reaction time experiments, collect the reaction time at each stage, store that in an array, and then at the end of the code we'll work out the average reaction time by adding up the reaction times and dividing it by 5. So let's go through that one step at a time. So the first thing we need to do is look at the variables that we've actually defined within the code. So to do that, as a summary, we can go into our project properties, click on the variables tab, and we can see we've got a reaction time variable, which is an array of values, which means we store multiple values within the same, related to the same variable. And then we've also got a variable called sum, which we'll use then to add up the reaction times a little bit later. Okay, so going back into our code, first thing we do is initialize our reaction time array. So we've got an array here, we're going to write to the array, so write to the numeric array, and we'll initialize it with the empty list, or empty array. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to run a reaction time trial by calling the reaction time block that we actually wrote earlier based on some previous code. Okay, so we call that produces one output, which we then will add to our reaction time array. So first thing we need to do is read the reaction time array to work out its current values. So this is this statement here, so we can see we're reading the numeric array. And then here we're going to use an array operation. So if we go into this one here, we're going to use one of these array operations, and in this case we're going to append a numeric value. So append means we add it to the end of the list or end of the array. Okay, so our current reaction time array is stored here. We add the current reaction time to that, produce a new array, and then this new array is assigned to the reaction time variable. Okay, so our reaction time variable is updated. This is all contained within a loop, and this loop iterates 5 times, so there's 5 iterations of the loop. Okay, so once we've done that, we're then going to add up the values in the array. So to do that we need this auxiliary variable sum, which we write to, so write numeric value, and we initialize it to 0. And then we're going to have a second loop here, which is going to iterate 5 times to go through each member in the array. And what we're going to do, each time we go around the array, we're going to read at an index, or read at the current index. Now what we're doing here is we're using the index from the loop. So if we look at this is actually going to give us the current iteration, or the loop number that we're up to. So we're going to pass that in as the index that we're going to get from the array. So we're doing a read from the array at this particular number. That gives us a numeric value, which is then passed to this add statement, which adds the previous sum to this value to give our new sum here. This is repeated 5 times. So at the end of our loop, what we need to do is take our sum, divide it by the number of values, which is 5. That gives us the average, and finally we will print that out using a display block. So the first thing in the display block, we're just going to print out a little label there to say average reaction time, and then we're going to take our average, which we calculated earlier, pass that to a second display block, and notice we've updated the column that we're displaying, the row that we're displaying it in, and also we've updated this to false, so it keeps the previous display there. And then right at the end of our code, all we've done there is add a wait block. So again, to recap on where to find our wait blocks, we grab it here. So we've got a wait block, and rather than the default, we will use a brick button wait. So effectively this is waiting until we press the middle brick button. Once that happens, the program will end.